So let's get into it, as we're going to start this off a little bit different from the last 2 weeks. We're going to start with the top 25 teams and who they're playing. Obviously, we talked about some buys there, but here's our top 25 going into week 3 here at your Sports Outpost, and here are who they are playing. So let's begin there in the top left corner with Ohio versus Ohio State. Bobcats. Ooh, we had an impressive game against Rutgers, where they unfortunately went down 34 to 30, if I'm not mistaken, was the scoreline there. Almost got that big road win against a Big Ten opponent. It definitely is not going to be the same against the Buckeyes, as they're number 1 in the country. But I would expect this game to be tough in the first quarter. Then it's just going to be all Buckeyes all the way. I know Ohio got a big home win against West Virginia last week, but that's West Virginia under year 1, Rich Rod there. This is Ryan Day in whatever year he is in for the Buckeyes and Ohio State. Julian Sain looks solid. Really liking what I'm seeing so far as we get away from that Texas game. We're going to see some pretty nice highlights coming out of Columbus for then again that Big Ten team taking on the MAC, and we're definitely going Buckeyes. The one that we did an in-depth preview for, Georgia at Tennessee. We're taking the Volunteers. Yes, I know we have Georgia at number 2, but when I looked into the game a little bit, I just don't like what I'm seeing so far from the quarterback play of the Bulldogs there. And I think it's kind of the right timing for Josh Heupel to finally get the Volunteers' first win as him being in charge there in Knoxville over Georgia. So we're going to go Tennessee, as technically, if I'm not mistaken, they are again not favored. Georgia is favored by 3.5 points. As we continue through it, we're in that middle top row section. Penn State hosting Villanova. Penn State has looked pretty good so far, only allowing 11 total points in the first 2 weekends. Last week got a shutout against FIU. Probably a shutout or minimum 3 points against Villanova. Penn State having another good weekend. Maybe we have 3 weekends in a row where we see a defensive lineman for the Nittany Lions get an interception. Let's see. Oregon heads to the middle of the country for some Big Ten play against Northwestern. We're going to take the Ducks. They have been completely solid. We saw an absolute smacking of the cheeks last week against Oklahoma State. 69-3 against a Big 12 program. We might see something similar here. Even though it is on the road, Oregon in some games in the Big Ten last season, not that they struggled, but they didn't have the best of times, but got the win. They definitely didn't lose a game in the regular season. They'll continue to not lose a game in the regular season against Northwestern. We're going with the Ducks. Texas hosts Texas El Paso. As we have 2 quarterbacks from, I think it was the 2023 recruiting class, going up against each other. Malachi Nelson, Arch Manning, 2 top 5 quarterbacks in that, again, class. Well, unfortunately, I think Texas is going to win this. They have the better defense. They have the better offense. It's quite obvious. And yeah, there's no way UTEP wins that one there. But would I be surprised if it's a close game? Yeah, actually, I would be very, very surprised if it's a close game. Let's go Longhorns. Let's go back over to the left, now into that middle row. We got Illinois taking on Western Michigan, or here at your Sports Outpost, we like to say Illinois, because we're not French. We're not French whatsoever. But anyways, Fighting Alumni looking impressive so far. They had a nice road win in Durham against Duke. Give us again Brett Bielema and his big boys over there at home against Western Michigan, who put up a really, really good fight against North Texas, losing in overtime 33-30. Here, definitely not going to be a close game. The offense of Illinois, that's some firepower there with Luke Altmaier. The new weapons he has out wide. Looks like the running back room is just going to be as good as it was last season. And then you obviously have a very experienced and talented offensive line, making ways and allowing, again, Altmaier all that time to get the ball out. LSU has a very interesting game. We could have done a preview like we did in the offseason for LSU versus Florida. But the game last week against USF, losing by a field goal, yes, it was close, but the offense of the Gators not looking so good. And again, this is the year, the defense, the Bayou Bengals have not given up a lot of points. And I think the good indicator of only giving up 10 in the first half and not a single point after halftime against Clemson shows us that LSU is going to be doing a very good job in that department. Even though they did struggle last week against Louisiana Tech, if I'm not mistaken, another game that had weather delays and kind of why it was a slow kind of start for the offense. But again, Garrett Nussmeier, who I like, are starting to really, really like, to be quite honest with you. Going to be slicing and dicing the Gator defense. But next season, Gator fans, next season, DJ Langway, most likely going to be the Garrett Nussmeier of the quarterbacks there in the SEC. We have South Carolina taking on Vanderbilt. We did an in-depth preview of that in the beginning of the stream. For the short part of it, I guess, or short version of it, we're going to go Gamecocks. We just like them a little bit more. Again, we think some people covering this game in the mainstream is a little looking a little bit into the highlights and the score lines, as both of them played Virginia Tech in week 1 for South Carolina, and then Vanderbilt last week. The score lines, I guess they're kind of like, oh, big number for Commodore, so that's why South Carolina gonna lose. Like, well, look at the penalties. Look at how some of those penalties have caused points to get onto the board. And again, I think South Carolina's defense is going to come to play. Will they allow more than 10 points against the Commodores? I think so. Diego Pavia has definitely improved. But if, again, Vanderbilt can't score more than 10, they're losing that one, and that's why we're taking South Carolina. We have Arkansas hosting, Arkansas State, hosting Iowa State there. It's Iowa State taking on Arkansas State there, I believe, in Little Rock. Iowa State, for sure. Rocco Beck finally playing a team that's weaker than the opponents that he has come up against. And we should really see him, hit Overby, Braum, the tight end, Burkle, the other tight end, and some other targets there as well. Maybe get the running game going with Hansen and Sama the third. Again, we really, really like that offense. They don't need too many drives in key games. This is not a key game where they are going to be hitting the ground running for sure. Georgia Tech hosts Clemson. Another game we did an in-depth preview of. And we're going Clemson. Going Clemson. I really want to take Georgia Tech. There's a lot of things in my body that wants to say Georgia Tech because of the offensive line play. Brent Key, offensive line guy, but this is just not a season where they get that nice upset, even though Florida State wasn't as good of a team there in week 0 in Ireland that we saw the rest of the season in 2024. But I mean, maybe this is a turning point, possibly. On top of that, they would end a big losing streak to the Tigers. But no, yeah, we're going Clemson. Their defense is gonna be helping them win that game there. Texas A&M plays Notre Dame in South Bend, taking the road team. Another one we went in depth with. We like the running game. We like Marcel Reed's progression so far as a passer. I had a lot of skepticism of him in the offseason of not believing in him. I think so far what we have seen, we can get the ball into some tight windows to complement the running game. Things are going to go well. And Notre Dame just needs to be able to bounce back. They had a rough road loss there against Miami. Even though it was only by 3 points, but again, it was still a rough outing. 0-2, they may not be a playoff team if they go again 0-2 and then maybe lose another game. They have to kind of go perfect to kind of solidify it. You don't really want to rely on other teams losing games so that you have a spot in the playoff. We have Arkansas State taking on Ole Miss there. Second game for Lane Kiffin and his Rebels in the SEC. Got a pretty nice road win in Lexington against Kentucky. 30-23. That was a game we previewed last week. Kind of got close to that points difference in our prediction. And our prediction for this one is Ole Miss hosting the Razorbacks, who really haven't played anyone. It was Alabama A&M in week 1. Last week, I cannot remember the Sun Belt team they played. I think it was Arkansas State, if I'm not mistaken. They beat them pretty handily. But here, it's going to be kind of Ole Miss getting to Tailing Green, to be quite honest with you, and their offense being high-powered enough. They get a lot of plays off a lot of plays, and it looks like Lane Kiffin and his new weapons out wide. There is a worry, though. I guess I haven't looked into Austin Simmons and what he's dealing with. If Trinidad Chablis is starting here, then maybe I would be concerned in Arkansas getting the upset. But at the moment, haven't seen any news like that come out. And Austin Simmons should be ready to go against the Razorbacks this upcoming week. As we continue, we got Miami hosting USF. They're at Hard Rock. Hurricanes. I think it's an interesting one because if I'm not mistaken, I have it in my notes here. I'm just double checking the numbers and how many points Miami is favored by, and it is quite a few. It's in the double digits. Just like it was for Florida. I think it was -19 for the Gators this week. USF's opponent is favored by 17.5. And I don't think USF is going to lose by that many points. I think they're going to put up a more than good enough fight. It's going to really come down to Devin Brown and how he just moves the chains for the Bulls, keeping their offense on the field, not making mistakes. Can their defense make some turnovers happen and kind of capture some momentum? I just saw, I think it was a 2008 game or in and around that era. Maybe it was a couple years after that, of USF getting their first ever win against the Hurricanes at Hard Rock. So if they could play some physical ball, get to the quarterback, maybe. But we're going Hurricanes. They look pretty good against Notre Dame so far. Alabama versus Wisconsin there. We are going to go with the Crimson Tide. A game I kind of wanted to preview, but I'm like, there's going to be so many other down the line for Alabama. I think they're more than capable in getting the win at home. They haven't lost at home since they played Texas a couple of seasons ago. So it's been a while. Then on top of that, it looks like everything has improved somewhat with Ty Simpson. The 73-0 win over UL Monroe. Not that it was a complete statement win, but I think they wanted to kind of get things going on offense. And then the defense played amazing. Maybe we get a performance where, not it's a shutout, but a nice dominant performance against the Badgers coming down to Tuscaloosa, who haven't also looked good as well so far. 17-0 victory in week 1 against, I think it was Miami of Ohio. Last week, I think it was a bigger margin, but they allowed Middle Tennessee State to score some points, who lost the week before to Austin Peay. That's a little worrying for the Badgers. And Luke Fickell, who's in a hot seat there in Madison. But I think maybe this is also a game where he puts up a good fight and allows him to salvage his job to be still the head coach going into 2026. But again, we're going to go with the Crimson Tide. Utah plays Wyoming. Yeah, the Utes. Devin Dampierre. Ooh. You guys, that is a baller right there. I could tell you that. When we did our preview for the Kansas State game in the offseason, and I was looking at his numbers, I was like, we have a Heisman, like a secret Heisman right here. If he continues to put up some, good numbers, makes not a lot of mistakes, I think he's on track to at least be in consideration of being a finalist. And then on top of that, their opponents this upcoming week, not so good. 10-0 victory against Akron. And then I'm forgetting who they played last week off the top of my head, but they got the win as well. Not too impressive with Wyoming, since their old head coach that was pretty successful, Bowles, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I remember in 2023, they put up a good fight against Texas. I don't think they're going to have a chance against Utah in that offensive line. And then the Utah defense, they're just nasty. They're probably going to be scoring some points in here to, again, run away with this. That's why, again, easily going Utah. Obviously, we're going to go with most of the ranked teams, but we're giving you reasons why, I guess. Indiana, last row, back to the left column there, against Indiana State. Hoosiers all day. Let's keep moving. They got the offense finally rolling last week, but enough said. Like, they're going to be blowing them out. Missouri hosts the UL Lafayette Raging Cajun. And yeah, I don't say Louisiana because I'm not French. But anyways, yeah, Tigers, very, very impressive with them last week against Kansas in the border war. The ground game, they're going to have a really, really good ground game in combination with a very, very stellar defense against, not Jalen Daniels. They should be getting better and better every week for Drinkwitz over there. But again, I've been impressed what they have on the ground and pound. Then you have Bobby Prola, who can also use his legs. He's getting better and better, I think, throughout the season and distributing the ball through the air. And it's going to be another game where they blow out the Raging Cajun this week. We move into Auburn, one of the new boys that got ranked this past weekend. After the results, obviously Baylor helped out them being ranked here. They play South Alabama. The Jags last week played Tulane, put up a good fight, not going away whatsoever. Davenport, I think, is their quarterback. If he can, have himself a game, maybe there's a chance, but I just think Auburn has just way too much. You got Jackson Arnold, all the weapons out wide. And then the offensive line's pretty solid as well. And then the defense should be shutting down most of the possessions South Alabama has when they have the ball. Oklahoma, as the second to last game here in the ranked section, they play Temple on the road. Yeah, that's an interesting one. As the Sooners head up to Philadelphia, they should be winning that. There's no way the Temple Owls, they've been all right. They've been okay. They blew out Howard last week. The week before, they put UMass away. But this is Oklahoma we're talking about. John Mateer looks pretty solid. They got the big home win against Michigan last week, who then kind of swapped in and out of the rankings with the Sooners. That's why they're at 22. They weren't ranked here at your Sports Outpost until this upcoming week. And they'll continue to be as they'll get the win there in Philly. Tulane is the last game there in the bottom right corner, taking on Duke. This is an interesting one. It was on the borderline of me. Should I talk about that in the in-depth previews? Kind of didn't have enough time that I wanted to at least have. Not that they struggled against South Alabama. I would say the defense in the second half did. That's a little concerning, but I think Jake Retzlaff, what a pickup that they have been blessed with over there in New Orleans. They host Duke, another power conference team, comes to town. Are they going to hold them to 3 points like they did in Northwestern? I don't think so. Duke scored 19 against Illinois last week, but that was at home. So it might be a little bit of a different story. If they can hold the Blue Devils to less than 15 points, I think Tulane will more than have it in them to be winning this game. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than it was against Northwestern. Very similar to the South Alabama game. They just have to get ahead, not make mistakes, and play to the strengths and weaknesses. And that's Jake Retzlaff. Let him ball out, and that's why we're going with Tulane there. As that is the ranked teams